Hey, what's up, guys? It's Bakes here, and thank you for joining me for episode 97 of my random horror reviews. Today's film is one from the year 2020. It's one that I remember being quite popular. A lot of people seem to have enjoyed this movie, as did I the first time I saw it. This was the second time watch for myself. Today's movie is titled The Night House. It's a film directed by David Bruckner, who, I'm not gonna lie, I've kind of underrated as like a modern horror director when actually he's done a lot of really cool stuff. It wasn't until I went back and checked out his film catalog, preparing for today's video, and I was like, wow, he's done a lot of really cool stuff. He did The Ritual for Netflix. He did the Hellraiser remake, which I think was pretty decent. He's done a lot of VHS installments in that franchise. And it wasn't until I looked on Letterboxd I seen that he's meant to be doing another remake to The Blob. And for those who don't know, The Blob from '88 is like one of my all-time favorite horror movies, if not my favorite. I love that movie, so I feel like his version of a remake there could be pretty interesting. But either way, we'll get into The Night House now, at least with its plot. So the plot for this movie, we follow our lead, played by Rebecca Hall. Her name is Beth, and at the start of the movie, she's just had her husband kill himself, suicide, and she's sort of dealing with the grief and living alone in their lakeside house that he built for her. And then some weird shit starts to happen, some ghostly shit around the house. She starts to unravel some secrets from her husband's past before he died. And, there's like weird shit going on. She sees another house across the lake that looks identical to hers. It was never there before. And, just some weird shit overall. It's sort of hard to break down everything going on in this story because it is a bit of a weird one, but I feel like I covered the main points there. So I actually remember when this movie came out, it sort of like dropped in secret. The first time I saw anything about this movie was the trailer. I went to the cinemas, and I don't know what I was watching at the time, but the trailer for this movie came on and I was like, man, this looks fucking sick. It took me a little while to get around to it though, but I remember hearing a lot of people say that they really thought this movie was cool, and I eventually got around to it and thought the same thing. But yeah, I just remember this movie sort of coming out in secret. But before we go into my thoughts of this movie upon rewatch, I just want to remind you guys, as I said, today is episode 97 of my random horror reviews, so episode 100 is coming up real soon. And for those who don't know, episode 100 is going to be a viewer's choice, so all you need to do is go into the comments and let me know what horror movie you'd like to see me review for episode 100, and then it will go into a random draw, and if I pull your movie, I will review it. I'm not going to lie, guys, if you drop a movie, there is a very high chance that I'll be reviewing it, because so far I've only had 2 film recommendations, and fuck it, I'm even going to say what films I've had: The Editor from 2014, if I remember right, and Dead Alive. I can't remember what year in the 90s, but it's definitely a 90s film. So, as I said, if you have a film that you'd like to see me do for episode 100, let me know in the comments, and at the moment there's a very high chance I will be doing that movie. But that was just a quick reminder, guys. Let's get into my full thoughts of The Night House from the year 2020. So like I said in my introduction, I had seen this movie before, and honestly, the first time I saw this movie, I did really enjoy it. But watching it this time around for a second time viewing, something just really fucking clicked, and I fucking loved this movie. Starting off with the atmosphere created in this film, because it's insanely good. Just so thick, and just builds to the story and really complements it well. And so much of that is how silent this movie is. There are large sequences in this film with absolutely zero dialogue, and all that we're listening to is the surrounding sounds, whether it's the wind or the house creaking or sort of footsteps through the house. There are even sequences where I swear there's just no sound added whatsoever. It's just pure silence, and as I said, just really adds to the atmosphere, and very creepy as well. The house itself and the surroundings of the house almost has its own persona and feel. So much so, you could almost say that the house is a character in of itself. And I love when objects in horror movies almost become characters, and I'm not talking about creatures or monsters. Like this house is a great example, or in Hellraiser, the puzzle box, or something like that. I love when an object starts to feel like a character, and I can almost like imagine this house was specifically built for the film. I'm not too sure, or almost like there was a casting process necessary, because the house really does feel like a character when you're watching this movie. You know, it just has this feel, this persona. It's very creepy, very atmospheric, and yeah, that's just another thing I wanted to highlight. In my movie reviews, you'll often hear me skim over performances a lot of the time. You know, it will be something like, oh, the cast was fine, and then I just move on. But when someone does a really outstanding job, I definitely want to highlight them. And Rebecca Hall in this movie as our lead is incredible. She does such a great job. And this isn't the first time that I've brought up Rebecca Hall on my channel either. In my review of The Gift, she was one of our three leads in that movie, and she was really fucking good in that as well. And in this, she could be even better. She is so fucking good in this movie. Most people now would recognize her for being in the Kong slash Godzilla franchise going on at the moment. You know, the New Empire and then Godzilla versus Kong. And I'm really happy that I see her in those movies. And the reason being is because, let's be honest, those films, you know, you don't need to really flex your acting muscles too much. With that being said, you know, she does a great job in those movies as well. But for me, I just sort of see those films as her big paychecks. You know, those films she probably makes more money than what she made for The Night House or The Gift, for example. And I'm just really happy, you know, that she can do that on the side and just make big money in these big Hollywood blockbusters, and then also just absolutely flex her acting chops when it comes to a movie like this. So I'm very happy to see her in those kinds of movies as well. First of all, a little bit off topic, but I think she's fucking beautiful. She's so stunning. Shame the only thing keeping us apart is she probably has no idea who I am. And I'm also guessing she's like really fucking tall. I'm gonna have a stab in the dark. Maybe like 5'10", 11. Like, she just seems like she's really fucking tall. I'm about 5'7". I was about to say 5'8", but that's probably like 5'7". So our height is probably also doing some damage. But either way, there's a scene in this movie. There was another one that I was going to bring up, but I feel like it's a bit too much of a spoiler. This one now is sort of towards the start. In this movie, she plays a school teacher, and she's had time off because, as I said, her husband has just committed suicide. She comes back to school and she's grading some papers and whatever, and her mum comes in, and she's sort of trying to say, oh, my son didn't deserve a C, you know, I want it boosted up. I don't think the work that he did, you know, deserves a C. I think it deserves higher. And she sort of just brings up, you know, how her husband committed suicide, and, you know, grading the papers is the least of her concerns and all this sort of stuff. And I just think that scene is insanely good. I remember rewatching it for this review, and I was like holding my breath that entire time because it's so intense, but like, she doesn't come off as a bitch either. Like, it's so understandable, and by the time the scene's over, it's just so intense. You just take that big breath out, and it's just so fucking good. I think she does a great job in this movie. Definitely wanted to highlight that as well. So whenever you're watching a movie like this one, and what I mean by saying a movie like this one, this is one where you constantly need to be thinking and keeping pace so you don't fall behind. A second time viewing will always help you digest it a little bit more. And what I can use as an example, the first time I saw this movie, as I said, I really did enjoy it, but I always had this sort of lingering thing over my head which sort of affected my overall rating at first. The fact that I didn't fully understand the movie the first time around, as in, I understood the themes and sort of the message that it was going for, but I had some questions. And even this time around, I still do have some very minor questions, but I understood the movie 100 times better. And sometimes that's all you need. So maybe if you saw the movie once before and you thought it was okay but didn't fully get your head around it, I still recommend a second time watch, because as I said, you know, it will help you answer some questions or some things that are still up in the air. But the themes and meanings in this movie, again, to be clear, I did understand the first time around, but understanding them on a little bit of a deeper level upon second time watch just makes them hit so much better. And the feel of this movie is so somber before getting into anything even major, but once we understand the meaning of nothing, which if you've seen this movie, you'll understand what the nothing is. But I've always interpreted the nothing as depression in a way, but once you understand what the nothing is and the themes of it and everything going on, as I said, to me, the movie just becomes like so much clearer and just hits on another level, and I think that's something that clicked with me even better this time around. So as I start wrapping up this review, like I said, the very first time I saw this movie, I really did enjoy it. Although I was aware that there were certain things I was missing, not only did this time around I have a better understanding of what was going on, I was also so much more engaged, which I wasn't even sure was possible, because the first time I saw this movie I was locked in. It has such a cool story, and the acting performance from Hall, the atmosphere, the vibe, the location, like everything is so engaging, and it's so easy to get sucked into everything that this movie's putting forward. But even if you're not getting a full understanding of the story or the themes, just give it a second time watch, because you'll eventually get there and it'll just hit on another level. Originally, I was going to give this movie a rating of an 8.5 out of 10, but I'm going to have to give it a 9. I know sometimes I'm harsh with my ratings and I just don't give that little extra nudge when it probably should be there. So a 9 out of 10 for The Night House from the year 2020. It really is such a cool movie, and as I said, I didn't know it was possible to enjoy it even more, but somehow it did. So a 9 out of 10 for The Night House. If you've seen this movie before, guys, let me know your thoughts of it in the comments below. But not only your thoughts of the movie in the comments below, guys, let me know what movie you would like to see me review for my Viewer's Choice 100th episode, because as I said, at the moment, I've only had 2 suggestions. I'm pretty much flipping a coin. So shake it up a little, put some movies that you'd like to see me review for episode 100 in the comments below, and you never know. As I said, it's going to be random. I'm not going to be picking a movie. I'm going to put them all into a generator or whatever, and whatever movie I get, I'll review. So shake it up, guys. Make the odds a little bit more variety, and it could be anything. So I want to see that, guys. But at the moment, it's between 2. Shake it up a little bit for me, guys. So episode 100, not too far away. 3 more episodes, so you have a little bit of time. But let me know in the comments, guys. But thank you for joining me for this review, guys, and I'll see you for another episode soon. Peace.